Welcome back to SnowRunner, guys, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Glitchworks G150 XLT. Now, as you can see, this is based on a 2015 Ford F150, but it's gone through a lot of modifications. Also, at the time of recording this video, this vehicle is console friendly, but it has not yet been tested and approved. But by the time this video releases, it may or may not be on your console mod browser. Like I said before, it all depends on when the developers approve it, and once they approve it, I will make a pinned comment down below letting you guys know that it has been approved. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and fire it up, take it into the garage, see what the customization looks like, and then we'll see how this thing drives. Sounds really, really good, actually. And it's also got a really sick interior. Like, look at this interior. It's got, like, the actual shifter, the actual dash, the actual, like, navigation system. It looks really, really good in there. So let's go ahead and see what we have in terms of engine options first. Right now, we have a stock 5.0. Then we have a 429 big block, and we also have a 460 big block. Now, I'm kind of curious as to what the difference between the 429 and the 460 is in terms of feel, because they both give you, obviously, oh wait, that's going to be an S, and then that's going to be an S+. Got it. I thought they were both S+. Okay, well that actually clears up a lot of confusion there. So default-wise, you have the 5-speed, and then you have the 6-speed highway, and then the 4-speed off-road. We're going to start with the 4-speed off-road, and then later on in the video, when we go to do the bridge jump and things like that, we'll go to the 6-speed highway box. Now, suspension-wise, you have a default lift kit, and then you have another lift kit. Now, obviously, this truck has been solid front axle swapped. It does not retain the independent front suspension, but those of you guys that enjoy rock crawling and trail riding, I'm sure are going to enjoy the fact that this thing has been solid axle swapped up front. So we'll go with the lift kit. And then here's where it gets really, really interesting. So you will recognize a pretty good amount of these tires from some of Glitch's other trucks. But let's see. Oh, wow. So you start with a 36, but you go right up to a 43. Like, there's no in between. It's 36-inch tires to 43-inch tires. Now, ooh, those TSLs look really good, though. I really dig those. Dang, they actually look really, really good. Now, you do have a chain tire setup if you plan on taking this thing into some really, like, icy or snowy environments, but I think what we're going to do on this build is we're going to go with, we're going to probably go with these, the GWC Mud Terrains in 43. Now, winch-wise, we're going to go with the Stage 4 winch. And you can put the gooseneck hitch in the back, and it is compatible with Red's gooseneck trailers, but Glitch himself has said that since this is designed to be a little bit more of like a trail riding truck and not necessarily as much of a hauling truck, do be aware that if you load it down with too much weight, it won't pull it all that well. That's nothing against the truck, that's just a little bit of a detail of the way it's designed to be used. So rear bumper-wise, you have a stock, then you have a steel bumper, heavy steel bumper, and another heavy steel bumper. I'm going to go with this one. It's kind of like similar to the stock look, but a little bit more off-road ready. These flares are gigantic. I'm not necessarily planning on going with those, but ooh, we can definitely throw the spare in the bed though. And let's see, Glitchworks custom roll bar or a toolbox. I dig the roll bar, although I'm back and forth on whether or not I want to use it. I might do the toolbox on this one. And then, well, can we do both? No, actually. Okay, so, well, that makes sense, though, because the toolbox actually goes up and over the sides of the bed. So that's fine. Now, let's see. Steps V1 or Steps V2? I kind of like Steps V1 just a little bit better. And then, let's see. So you have a stock front bumper, but you also have a steel brush guard, which has a winch included in it. But it's still, like, super, super beefy, and I'm not sure that's the route I want to go. So you can also take the front bumper off. If you want to go with like a, full high clearance setup, you can take the front bumper off, but just be aware that you're going to see two frame rails right there. So wheel selection wise, you have these AR26s, GWC 10-hole, AR62, GWC beadlocks, mag slot, steelies, mil specs, GWC machetes, GWC process, GWC mode. The machete, the process, and the mode, especially the process and the mode, are very similar to Method Racing wheels. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with these because I really like them in bronze. And then colors-wise, you do have some really interesting combinations here. And actually, I like how it's got this little bit of like a design going on right here. Not everybody includes like different designs in their mods, and I think that like it's always cool to see when people include paint jobs that either have the full solid color or like a little bit of like a design going on. I really do like that, and I think it adds to the creativity of what you can build the truck into. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with this red and black fade right here, and then we're going to put beans on the dash, and then now we get to take this thing out and test it out and see what it's like to drive. I do like the way it looks. I'm actually really happy that we have an F-150 of this body style in-game, especially like, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, is that a Raptor or is that like a normal F-150? This is not a Raptor. This is a normal F-150 that has been highly modified and upgraded, and I think, I think the Raptor obviously gets a lot of, the Raptor's always going to get a lot of attention because it is, it is insane. It is the Raptor, but at the end of the day, it's really nice to see modified versions of standard F-150s as well, and the flex is actually pretty good. I mean, it's not necessarily going to be any kind of like, like rock bouncer or crawler buggy or anything like that, but for a full-size truck, it's got some really good flex to it, especially with the lift kit. Now, once we get out of the garage here, we're going to go ahead and make a right. We'll head through the creek, and then we're going to do our standard testing circuit, and we're going to go up over the rocks and see if this thing basically makes short work of the rocks or if it has a little bit of trouble. Let's put you into high. That's not too bad. Like, when it's in high in the creek, like, you can tell that it slowed down a little bit, but nowhere near the point to where it was struggling at all. So let's see. All right, hill climb time. Automatic mode, easy. Wow, yeah, it had no complaints. Literally zero complaints. Diff lock is always on, but all-wheel drive is selectable, which is nice because you can use the lockers still in automatic mode. All right, so let's see how this goes through the rocks. A little bit of flex there. Up and over the first one. Big wheel lift. All right, let's see if we picked a somewhat decent line here. I mean, dragging the rear bumper a bit, but it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right, come on, make your way through. Bro, that's actually really well done. That's really smooth. Really smooth through the rocks. My way down and over. Pushing that loose rock a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. I mean, hey, if it can make it through that, then it can make it through most rock crawling trails, because one of the things you got to remember is not only are those rocks steep, but the default in-game rocks on this map, as opposed to, like, say, for example, the rocks on a map like TNB Trails, the rocks on this map have a lot less grip. So if it can make it through those rocks, no problem. It'll make it through the rocks on something like TNB Trails really well. The only thing that obviously you would have to remain aware of is the fact that while it does not have, while it's not like it's not flexible, it is flexible, it's just not quite as flexible as some of the other rigs you may be used to on a map like that, so you do have to take that into consideration. Now let's see how you do in some proper mud. Okay, it slowed down quite a bit. Like, it'll make its way through, but it's gonna be a slow process, and if it's like sinking like that on this side, I'm a little nervous to see what happens to it on the other side. But that just means that the grip is tuned a lot more towards the realism side of things, a lot more towards the balance side of things in the mud, and I know that some players will really appreciate that. So if you're looking for a truck that has very, like, kind of like balance-centric or realism-centric performance in mud, this one's definitely going to give it to you. It's definitely going to give it to you. Now, I think also what's interesting to me about this truck is that it has a kind of a balance-focused performance level in mud, but on rocks, it performs really well. And I'm sure that the mud performance would change also if I changed the tires to a more like mud-focused tire option, but, these tires are really good as an all-round set, and they work really well in almost every situation. So that's why I really like running these whenever I drive any of Glitch's trucks. Now let's see how it does through the dips obstacle. But before we do that, I want to see how it does when I watch the suspension performance from the side. So let's see. It's definitely a little bit more on, like, the stiffer side of things, but it's also not bad. It's not, like, it's not too stiff, but it's also not soft to the point where you're going to bottom out all the time. Now, interestingly enough, because we're now on this side of the dips obstacle, we're going to do it backwards. And I know that some people might be like, well, why? Because we're literally on the opposite side. And you know what? It might actually give us a interesting level of challenge to take it the opposite direction, because we never take it this direction. All right, so easy there. We had a diagonal approach on the first one, and then these tires seem to be just big enough to get it to not drag the front bumper too much. It drags it a little bit, but it's not like it's burying the grill or anything like that. There are some trucks that you'll take through here where they will bury the entire grill, and you're like, yeah, okay, I probably shouldn't do that again. Back over to the left. Little bit of flex through there. Nothing too crazy, though. Nothing too crazy. It did really, really well, actually. Really well, and at no point during that run did I feel as though the truck was gonna get, you know, unhappy or high-centered or really anything like that. So now, we're gonna swap over to the highway gearbox, and we are going to make sure and verify that we have the 6-speed in there, which we do. Change the time up so we have a little bit more nice weather. And the thing is, the nice weather, like, you can try to get to it by cycling through the day and night cycle on the map view, but the issue with that is the fact that, like, sometimes, even if, you know, even though you change the time of day, it will, a lot of times, just keep the same weather conditions. So you could set it to afternoon all you want, but the game will still be like, yeah, it's afternoon, but it's still gonna be gloomy and rainy, and you're like, that's not what I wanted, that's not what I asked for. Yo, this thing does, like, proper drifts, okay. Look at that. Well, that one didn't really stay on the road, so, but we're not gonna worry about that one. It's fine. It's all fine. It's all good. All right, let's make our way up to the top of the bridge jump. We're gonna obviously go into first-person view for this, and I love the working gauges. Oh, that's so sick. That is so cool. All right, let's get off the wall. Come on. Easy. And, oh, wow. Bro, that stayed super solid in the air. It only started to nose down, like, a little bit farther down the actual flight path after the jump. So I would say, in the grand scheme of things, this thing took the jump, like, really, really, really well. Now, if you have been looking for a F-150 of this body style, especially on consoles, I would definitely, as long as it's approved and available on the browser, I would definitely suggest that you guys give this thing a try. And even if you're on PC, I would suggest spending some time with it there as well, because it is genuinely fun to drive. I really like the feel and the vibe he was going for with this truck. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later.